Okay guys, well, I'm going to try to make another video this week, and this week we're actually going to be doing some more Jeep work. This is some stuff I haven't had a chance to get to in a while. I've been meaning to do it. I had to order parts, had to figure out what I needed, and go through a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, I also left the compressor on. Turn that off for a moment. What was I going to say? I got the Jeep jacked up. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around and point it at the Jeep, and we'll maybe start narrating what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and start going through things. I need to turn the compressor on. Again, obviously, I need to figure out where my air tools are, obviously. I've already loosened the lug nuts on the wheels so that they'll be a little bit easier to take off using my trusty wrench. So we're going to pull the wheels off. I think there's two things I need to accomplish today. The first one is I need to put new bushings in on the lower control arms. I did those a couple months ago, I think. That was a huge job. That was a big job. Unfortunately, it was cooler then than it is today. It's still hot. Welcome to Southern California. It's hot. We got some rain last week for about half an hour. That's the first rain I've seen in months. So it's just been hot and dry, and more hot and dry, but the plants seem to think that it's a good time to launch pollen, so my allergies are going crazy. So we're going to pull the wheel off. We're going to do the lower control arm bushings. As long as we have the lower control arm out to put the new bushings in, we're going to try to do the spring on that side, and then we'll swap over lower control arm and then spring. I think that should work. I've got a spring compressor. I've got most of the things I think I need. I'm hoping this isn't going to be a 2J job, and I'm hoping I should be done in about 4 hours. It's already after 4 o'clock here. I got a late start because it was just too hot and sunny earlier, so I wanted to push it back a little bit to cool it off a little bit. It's helped a bit, but not great. So I'll go ahead and stop the video there. I'll point it at the car, and you'll see what I've already done and what we're going to do next. So as you can see, I've already got the wheels off the ground. We're sitting on jack stands. I went up pretty much as high as I could get on my jack stands, and the first step here is going to be pulling off that wheel. And then we're probably going to have to pull the shock absorber off, probably just do the bottom. And then we're going to get the lower control arm off first, I think. Then we'll see what we have to do about moving that spring, because the control arm actually limits the amount of travel down. Because there's a kind of a thing, and it'll kind of crimp it like this, and it'll keep it from going down further. So once I pull the control arm out, which I'll probably have to use the jack to kind of lift the wheel, or lift the axle up a little bit in order to take the pressure off the control arm. So that'll be job one. So the next step after this once this is done, the suspension should be ready for an alignment, and then I'm going to put some new tires on them. I'm just going to stick with the same Wrangler radials just because I really like them. They're cheap. They're $75 a tire, so out the door I'm under $400 for 4 tires. I already have 2 spares that are also the Wrangler radials, so I'm just going to stick with them. I like them. They've been long wearing. I had these put on there in 2012. Maybe a little bit after that, but not much. So that's what I'm going to stick with. Okay, so that looks like about a 22 millimeter. We'll start with that. 13/16 it is. Okay, I get the feeling this is going to be a job for an impact wrench. Mine's at home. It's good to have friends. Okay, well, that's surprising news. So we've got so far, you know, I'm going to pull the camera down. I was kind of afraid of getting some lens flare or having the camera possibly in the way or possibly damaged, but this is actually going substantially easier than I expected. Which only means bad things are to come. So the good news, at least at this moment, you can see that, it's actually upside down on my screen, is that the lower control arm came out super easy. In the past, when I've done anything that involves the control arms, the top of the control arm here usually hits the bracket there, keeps the axle from coming down further, which means that it's probably either being held up by the sway bar or the shock absorber. I know I need to disconnect both in order to get the axle to come down. I don't think I need to touch the tie rod. I really don't want to touch the tie rod, even though it's going in for a alignment, like right after this. But I don't want to touch the tie rod. Now, I might be missing something here. I didn't exactly read the manual, because who reads the manuals? There seems to be a liner in here, and there's some bolts on the back. I guess that's probably for doing an alignment, because that would allow you to move this little shoe back and forth. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I'm guessing maybe there's a little bit of misalignment in between the shoe and the slot on the other side that's causing problems. It's just kind of one of those things where it's a little fiddly and it's buried a little deep to get any tools there. Now let's do that. Yeah, there's some kind of like tensioning doodad in there. So these are displaced a little bit. They're cracking, they're fucked up, but for as old as they are, they're actually in remarkably good shape. So there's that. I'm gonna try to do this without getting the camera all nasty. So I don't know how you're supposed to clean up a camera when it's got covered in axle grease. So there's two bolts here. That'll pull the shock out. And there's another one back here. You can see my finger where the clip is. So you need to back that one out probably sooner rather than later. And then here's where I'm going to disconnect the sway bar. So it looks like this probably just comes out with a Torx. There's a nut on the back, and then I can just pull that out. It's probably going to be under tension. It's probably going to be all crazy. I don't know, we'll find out when we get there. Okay, so these are 1/2 inch. They come off from the bottom. So on my buddy's Jeep, the bolt that holds the clip in had gotten stripped out in the past. So whenever he went over a bump, his spring would kind of dance around a little bit. It's entirely possible he just had the wrong springs on there, because the guy who did it was a previous owner, kind of a jackhole. So okay, it seems like the shock actually is one of the things that's keeping this from dropping further. just for gigs while I got my body parts underneath this. Just going to go ahead and jack it up so it can't go down any further than that. Uno, dos. Okay, so there's the shock absorber. Pretty sure this is going to end up being in my way at some point. Hopefully, at least it's mostly okay to move. That's at full extension now. I don't remember what the ride height was before, because I didn't bother measuring. I don't really care, I just want it higher. I do have some extra lift components I can put on there if I need to, just to even out the ride height. I don't think I'm going to put them on at this point, because I think I'll be limited by the shock. We'll probably have to see once we get there. At least I know my brake cable is going to be fine, so I don't need to put one of those on. I'm going to find my Torx bits. Actually, quick diversion. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to go look for my other air tool. My air ratchet. But since I need to get these bushings out,